3 police cars, 2 ambulances, and a fire truck surrounded my moving truck at 2:47 p.m. on what should have been the happiest day of my life. The HOA president stood behind them like a battlefield commander, pointing at me with trembling hands fueled by self-righteous fury. "He's trespassing on federal heritage property," she shouted into her phone. What Claudia Winthrop didn't know as she demanded my arrest was that I had the government auction receipt in my pocket, and that her heritage site was about to become her federal nightmare. The smell of diesel, pine, and lake water mixed in the crisp air as I stood there watching this circus unfold. My property. The word still felt unreal after 3 years of saving every dime, working double shifts, and living off gas station coffee, just to buy back what my family had lost decades ago. Ironically, after years working as a federal maritime safety inspector, helping others navigate bureaucracy, I was now trapped in my own bureaucratic disaster. My name is Ethan Graves, and at 34 years old, I had finally managed to buy back my great-grandfather's lakefront estate, Crescent Bay Lodge, for $847,000 cash at a federal auction. Every cent came from 3 years of sacrifice, ramen noodles, and a rusted pickup that barely survived the journey. The property had been seized during the 1980s savings and loan crisis when my family couldn't pay the back taxes from my great-grandfather's final illness. I'd grown up hearing about that old lodge, the dock, the private marina, and the mysterious underground rooms rumored to be from a Navy project. And now, this woman, Claudia, the self-appointed queen of the Crescent Bay Heritage Association, was trying to call 911 on me for trespassing on what I legally owned. She emerged from her pearl-white Lexus like an angel of suburban vengeance, clutching a thick binder to her chest. Her silver hair didn't move in the lake breeze, and her pink blazer looked like it cost more than my monthly paycheck. "This property has been federally protected since 2019, she declared with icy authority. "You're trespassing on government land." I blinked, then calmly pulled the auction paperwork from my pocket. "Ma'am, I bought this property at a government auction 3 months ago. I have the deed, title, and receipt right here." Her laugh sounded like glass breaking. "Oh, I'm sure you have paperwork. Scammers always do." Before I could respond, she was already on the phone. "Yes, 911? This is Claudia Winthrop at 47 Lakeshore Drive. I need federal officers immediately. We have a veteran impersonating a government agent. Armed and dangerous." Armed and dangerous? I looked down at my jeans, flannel shirt, and work boots. The only weapon I had was a multi-tool clipped to my belt. Within minutes, sirens screamed closer. My moving guy, Roberto, looked at me wide-eyed. "Man, I think I'll come back later," he muttered, dropping my great-grandfather's rocking chair before bolting to his truck. Soon 3 patrol cars arrived, lights flashing. The officers fanned out cautiously, hands resting on their weapons. "Officers," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm Ethan Graves, Federal Maritime Safety Inspector with the Coast Guard. I believe there's been a misunderstanding." Claudia marched forward, waving her folder. "He's impersonating a federal officer. This property is under our protection." The lead officer, Sergeant Nolan, held up a hand. "Everybody calm down. Let's see some ID and paperwork." I handed over my federal ID and the auction documents. Claudia proudly presented her heritage certificate. Nolan examined both sets, frowning deeper with each page. Finally, he sighed. "Ma'am, your document seal doesn't match federal standards. And this signature belongs to someone who died in 2020. Claudia's face paled. "That's impossible." He turned to me. "Mr. Graves, your documents check out. But this property has some unusual notations. Federal easement marks, maritime jurisdiction tax. What exactly was this place?" "That's what I've been trying to figure out," I said. "My great-grandfather worked here during World War II. It was supposedly a naval testing facility." Claudia's voice trembled. "Irrelevant. The Revolutionary War fortifications." Nolan cut her off. "Ma'am, this lake didn't even exist until 1942 when the Army Corps of Engineers flooded the valley. No Revolutionary War anything." The silence was deafening. Nolan turned to me. "Mind if we take a look around?" "With pleasure," I said. Claudia tried to block us. "You can't enter. Federal heritage laws." But we were already walking toward the lodge. Up close, the place looked less like a home and more like a small base. reinforced windows, heavy-duty wiring, and a concrete platform near the dock. Inside, the air smelled of metal and electricity, not dust. Then we found it, a steel door in the back wall, sealed with a military-grade lock. That's unusual, Nolan muttered. I held up my key ring from the auction. One key looked like a match. Mind if I? Go ahead, he said. The key turned smoothly, as if it had been used recently. The door opened with a hiss, revealing a steel staircase spiraling into darkness. We descended slowly, flashlights cutting through the gloom. The space below was massive, reinforced concrete walls lined with clean, functional electronic equipment. This isn't abandoned, Nolan's partner whispered. The consoles were operational. Some even hummed faintly. Labels on the panels dated to the 1990s and 2000s. This looks like a communications bunker, I said. Maybe Coast Guard or Navy. But if it's active, this property should have never been auctioned. From above, Claudia's voice cracked. You shouldn't be down there. You're interfering with federal operations. We climbed back up. Claudia was pacing, phone pressed to her ear. No, they haven't accessed the systems yet. Yes, I can delay them until you arrive. Nolan's jaw tightened. Who are you talking to? She snapped. Classified. He crossed his arms. Lady, I've been a cop 15 years. There's no classified HOA call list. I pulled out my government phone and dialed the Coast Guard Command Center. This is Inspector Ethan Graves. I'm at 47 Lakeshore Drive. Property sold at auction, but there's an active facility underneath. I need immediate federal verification. A crisp voice answered. Inspector Graves, this is Captain Rivera, Maritime Security Response Team. Stay put. That location is on our watch list. We're inbound. ETA 45 minutes. When I ended the call, Claudia's hands were shaking. Her folder fell open, scattering dozens of forged certificates across the porch, all with fake seals and dead official signatures. Nolan's voice was cold. Ms. Winthrop, you're under investigation for possession of forged federal documents. You don't understand, she whispered. You're dealing with people who will kill to keep this quiet. Before he could cuff her, 3 black SUVs tore down the road, dust rising behind them. Those aren't my people, I said. Men in dark suits jumped out, moving in practiced formation. But their cars were rentals, and none displayed federal markings. Everyone stay back, Nolan warned. A tall man with gray hair stepped forward. I'm Agent Pierce, Department of Interior. We're here to secure this site. Nolan kept his gun half drawn. Let's see some ID. Pierce pulled out a letter instead. Federal seizure order. All civilians must evacuate. I stepped forward. I'm Inspector Graves, Coast Guard. Your credentials will be verified before any action here. Pierce's smile faltered. Inspector, this is a time-sensitive operation. But real sirens were already echoing in the distance. Actual federal vehicles, marked Coast Guard and FBI, raced toward us. Captain Rivera arrived first, followed by Agent Lawson from the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Sorry we're late, Rivera said. Traffic was heavy once we realized we were responding to this mess. Lawson faced Pierce. Sir, there's no Department of Interior Heritage Division. I wrote the report that eliminated it 3 years ago. Pierce froze as real agents surrounded him. Handcuffs clicked. His team surrendered without resistance. Claudia stood motionless, her empire collapsing before her eyes. Then, from across the road, an elderly voice called out, Ethan, honey, are they finally arresting those crooks? It was Martha Reyes, my 73-year-old neighbor. Ma'am, stay back, Nolan warned. She ignored him. I've been watching these people for 5 years. They've been stealing grant money using fake heritage programs. I've got proof, photos, dates, everything. Agent Lawson blinked. Ma'am, you've been documenting this. Martha handed over a folder thicker than Claudia's fake binder. 12 properties across 3 states. They convinced families to donate their homes for tax write-offs, then pocketed millions in federal funds. Lawson's eyes hardened. They weren't just running a scam. They were using these sites for illegal intelligence monitoring. Down in the bunker, we found radio systems intercepting Coast Guard and Navy communications, private surveillance disguised as preservation. This isn't just fraud, I said quietly. It's espionage. Within days, simultaneous raids took place nationwide. Claudia's operation was exposed as a multi-state criminal network. She faced 47 charges: fraud, money laundering, even conspiracy to spy for foreign clients. 2 months later, Martha Reyes testified before Congress, calmly explaining how she documented everything from her kitchen window. They counted on good folks being too polite to ask questions, she said. But I wasn't raised that way. The hearing led to the Graves Heritage Protection Act, requiring independent audits for all federal preservation grants. 1 year later, Crescent Bay Lodge reopened as the Crescent Bay Maritime Museum, funded by legitimate federal grants. The underground bunker became an educational exhibit showcasing real naval history. Over 30,000 visitors came that first year. Martha became volunteer coordinator, ensuring every dollar went where it belonged. Meanwhile, Dr. Hannah Keats, the maritime archaeologist who led the restoration, became my closest ally, and more. Together, we oversaw programs teaching kids how to recognize fraud and protect genuine history. As the sun set over Crescent Bay, Hannah smiled beside me. You know, this case changed everything. Over 800 fake heritage sites have been shut down thanks to what started here. Before I could answer, Martha approached, waving a note. Ethan, I got a call from a reporter in Silver Creek, Montana. There's an HOA president claiming she's discovered native burial grounds and already filed for federal restoration money. Hannah and I exchanged looks. Let me guess, I said. Name? Vivian Crossfield, Martha replied with a knowing grin. And she's already convinced 6 families to donate their properties. Hannah laughed softly. Looks like our next investigation just found us. I stared out across the calm lake, the reflection of our restored museum shimmering like a promise. Then let's go remind them, I said, that heritage fraud stops here. Because sometimes, the quiet dream of owning a home becomes something bigger, a fight for truth, for community, and for justice that ripples far beyond the water's edge.